Hey guys, Ralph's Automotive. Welcome back. Today's video is about a seat that doesn't go up and down. In this case here, it does everything but go up and down. And when you hear the motor running, engage a switch and you hear the motor running on it, it's one of two things. Usually the gearbox or the drive for the gearbox, the little drive cable. And I'll show you both. I'll show you what I have found in the past, and we're gonna see what we can do about repairing it. I had a horrible trip to the junkyard yesterday, but I did find me a donor seat. The part itself, if you get the GM replacement, I think they call it a seat regulator, or there's multiple names for it. It don't matter anyway. Seat rail, motorized. This one is 6-way. When you go buying them things from the dealer, they're super pricey. I mean, we're talking $1,000 from the dealer. Normally, there is some online options now. You get them. I think I've seen them anywhere from $350 to $500. But still, I didn't want to spend the money. This is not a customer's truck. This is actually mine. I just wanted the up and down fix. Now I know that a lot of people in a GM, they have those problems, and a lot of people just don't worry about it. As long as the forward and the back works, normally people just don't worry about the up and down too much. A lumbar, that rarely ever gets fixed from my experience anyway. I don't know what you guys might find, but anyway, long story short, we're going to see different ways of getting this here fixed. So here is my donor, and yes, I know these are already out of the vehicle, but we can still do the video, and I can still go through step by step, because it's fairly easy to do this job. It don't take long at all. So without further ado, let's get started. So the only downside you're going to have, I think that the average person is going to have one problem doing this job, and that's these two sockets here. They're inverted torque sockets. It'll require an E18 and an E14. On the front of the seat, we have 2 bolts. On the rear, we have 2 nuts. The nuts being make sure this is in the shot, the nuts is going to be the E18. The front bolt is going to be your 14. That's just the inverted torques. So that part aside, you have these trim pieces here. Make sure that's in the shot. Get you down here. Hopefully you can see that. Yeah, they sit in here, or well, rather this way. Just take a screwdriver, go in that little notch, pop them out, and you expose this bolt on the front. Then we need to remove the seat belt itself, which is that bolt over here. Hopefully you can see that stud right there. Access panel here. Push on it from the back side, pop it out. Not a big deal. And then you find there is one of the nuts over on this side, and also one on the other side. It's got a piece of plastic covering over the top of it that's just snapped in place. You can pop it out and you get to the bolt, or the nut I should say. This piece of plastic, we're going to keep these 2 switches installed. We're going to take that one out, but anyway, we'll get to that here in just a second. So what we'll do is we're going to need a 7mm socket, and we'll to move. Maybe. Move this bolt. Well, come on now. And you got this little bolt right here. And this here. It's got the typical push locks. Come on out there. Being careful not to destroy them. There's your push locks. You got these squeeze type locks in the back. Take screwdriver, get into these little tabs. This is for your lumbar. You can get right out. Leave it laying in place. This one here, it's got push lock on the connector. Keep dropping stuff. Put it in a different place. We'll try to get on from the back side here and well, somebody apparently had already taken the push lock out of it, but there's normally gray lock over the top of this. You slide it back with a screwdriver, push, pull out, gives you the rest of the assembly. You can't unclip this one because your buttons are going to be, you're going to be breaking them. So here's what we have there. Get that part out of the way. We can remove this plastic here, not necessary for what we're doing. Let's see, moving on. I'm going to go to the other side. Oh, I'm sorry, I had that already off. This just unclips. Same clip, and then these two same locks. Back piece, same way. We've got this here bolt. The 15mm socket. Get that out of the way. Okay, get this plug undone. Okay, naturally air compressor kicks on. Anyway, I guess I didn't have to remove that bracket, did it anyway. Yank these two bolts out. One more trim piece. Two clips there, one clip here, one clip over there, where the bracket goes. Get these out of the way. Same on the other side. Zip this. Get everything out of the way. Okay. Nut. Same on the other side. Nut. And get them out. Now I'm going to admit, like an idiot yesterday, I ran off without my little power supply. Generally what I do is I take my little power supply with me, or sometimes battery, just simply a battery with a little bit of wires on it to test these motors. And yesterday I ran off and forgot them. So I pulled the rod out of it, the drive rod out of it. You'll see here in a minute. I'll explain. And hopefully that's a good. Hopefully that's a good rail. Hopefully everything works in them. Pull this. Whoa. Stay. This module. Come on over here. That's the seat pressure switch. Boys and girls, come on already. This exposed. Okay. So take a minute and talk about these things. Personally, I've only seen one of two things fail. Let me go grab it. I see these little guys here is like an old-timey speedometer cable. The old flexible cable, they got a 1/8 of an inch square on each end. Those are the ones that drive these little gearboxes right here. Now I've seen one or two things myself. I'm not saying that's the only failures on it. I'm just saying that this is the only thing I've ever found is these here broken, or the gearbox is actually damaged. The worm inside and the main gear, that they're stripped out, which was the case on this seat. I'll show you that in a minute. But just to say this, if you find them break anywhere in here, find you a buddy that can weld, because you can put a dab of weld, preferably with a MIG welder, and grind it all back down, and you can bend these things right back in, and that's a fix. I mean, I've done this like 2 or 3 times, and it worked perfect. Still working today. You know, relube what you got to relube if that's what you want to do. But anyway, I'm just telling you that works. That can be done. So this is out of the gray seat. Get that to focus. Teeth are gone. They were inside the plastic gearbox, and also on the little worm that's driving it like this. it's got flat spots as well. So these are bad. Now, there is plastic. We'll go get them too. You got these little split tubes. These tubes just keep the, well, that's not the correct one, but you get the picture. These tubes is what keep these gearboxes from sliding up and down the rod. This is on a rod. Here's the other one for the motor themselves. Okay. Those are just the ones that keep the gearboxes lined up. And once you undo them, they have movement, so you can manipulate them a little bit. Overall, a lot of talking going on. Sorry about that, but anyway. Okay, this would be the one from the rear. Let's see what this one is. Is it shorter or longer? It's longer. Don't know what I did with him. Got him somewhere. Okay, now, oh, I forgot about something. That's very important. On the bottom, before you get your seat out of your truck, there is a plug here and another plug right beside it. These will have to be unplugged. This one here just folds open. And pull it, it unplugs. You'll have to get them out of the way, obviously. I'm sorry, I forgot about that. And as I said, after you remove these 4 bolts and undo these plugs, that seat's ready to come out. Really simple, nothing to it. Okay, I'll put that drive back in here. Let's see. Well, I suppose we could undo that plug and get it out of the way, but nah, it doesn't matter. Okay, what was I doing? This one right here. Get that little unit off, make it a little bit easier. So look at your motors. Oh, you can see that. As I said, look at your motors. Find you a wiring pair. You got purple. Yeah. Here we got purple and yellow. There is going to be 3 pairs in here. Okay, same as most things DC, reverse current, it goes the opposite way. So first motor, success. Second motor, perfect. Make no noises. That sounds actually pretty good. Moving on, next one. Must be bottomed out. Don't keep power on it. That's not so good. Might actually have a bad one here. I took the gearbox apart because this last one wasn't moving, and the gearbox is actually fine, and I'm going to have to say something. Shame on you, GM. This here is off an earlier model. I think it's a 07. Yeah, this is how cheap these guys are. And this one here, we actually have a metal worm. And the other one, as I showed you earlier, is plastic. Now, GM, how cheap are you? Charge more money and you get less quality. That's really awesome. But anyway, that was a short rant on my part. These are 1/4 inch little screws. There's 4 of them on that gearbox. You all want to take them apart. As I said, this one is fine and nothing wrong with it. Hey guys, give you a little bit of bonus footage if anybody ever feels like they want to mess with their busted lumbar. This is the back piece of the seat. 1, 2, 3, and 4. These here are also in there. You slide them. It sits like this. You go underneath here, you push that in, you pull up, and then pull down, and you can remove your seat. You want to do the bottoms first, go onto the side. See here approximately where they are in relation. Put this back in. This is where they are. Hopefully you can see this. Yeah, you can see it. This is where they are. Again, do the bottoms one first. Lift up, do the sides, then pull this part away from the back. This here, again, there you got your seat cover. Unclips. These unclip really easily. They just hang on that plastic. The thing, undo these. Going around. You'll have to pull this here off. This little plastic cover comes off. You have to have that off in order to get the headrest out of it. The push button is on this side. However, there's also a push button that lets it come all the way out. And it's on the other side. I don't know if you see that or not. There you go. That'll have to be pressed in order to remove that headrest. Okay, moving on. Pull this back. Got 2 clips down here. Put the first one, flex that a little. second one. These are the clips. This hooks. Oh yeah. Oops, almost forgot. Pliers, they're gone. There we go. This part here locks in. Let me see this. It locks in on the other side in here. There's a hole that comes through. Anyway, you'll see it. It's a clip. You have to kind of press and then put something on the back side and pull on it. Pulled on with pliers, came right out. There you guys, there's your typical GM lumbar. And we have to undo this little guy. I don't need that part, nothing wrong with mine, but I just figured while I'm over here, I'll show it to you. That's what that looks like. It's a little bit of work to get it all apart, but not that bad. As I said before, I think that bottom line, most people that do this here with the seat rail, they're going to opt not to mess with all this. Guys, if your modules, if they're good on it, you want to hang on to that. That's the seat pressure switch right here. Let's see, this is loose, so we can get this folded out this way. There is a cell underneath it here. Come on out. There it is. There's your pressure cell. That's whenever somebody sits on that, that liquid in here compresses and puts pressure on this through the hose into the pressure sensor here. That's what activates your airbags, and that's how the truck, car, whatever knows that there is a passenger in the seat. Again, I mean, if that rigging things, but that's what that is. And I mean, you never know. Might have something like that go out. Never seen that myself, but who knows? Could happen. But anyway. Now guys, to be truthful, I started to get a little bit upset a while ago. And well, for some people, yeah, that would be upsetting if you're planning on changing the whole lower unit out. But I can't say I've ever seen this one. This motor here is actually shot. It'll go a little bit, but has absolutely no power whatsoever. Turn a little bit. I'll be jiggered if that motor ain't bad. Well, of course, in my case, I don't care, because I'm going to do something completely different. Okay, moving on. This has turned into a lot longer video than what I had initially intended for it to be. Anyway, moving on. As you can see, I took this gearbox here apart. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cheat a little bit. On my seat over there, I'm not going to go through any of this. If you noticed a while ago, I already had the part in my hand. Don't know what I did with it, but I did have it in my hand. There it is, right there. Okay, if you were wondering a while ago what the heck this is, well, it's right there. Or rather like this. It's that part right there. This is how I'm going to replace it on this seat. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to get myself a bolt, put a nut on the back, we're going to lock it all in. Alright, got to get the rivet out. Okay. So here's what I was talking about, the gearbox actually sliding. See, that's what them spacers actually do. They hold that gearbox in place, and that is normally how you would get your cables out. But like I said, from the factory, they have left enough flex in these cables that you can manipulate them, bending them a little, and get one of them things back in if they break. I mean, like I said, I've done it. It does work. So, you know, it's still operating today as far as I know. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 1/4-inch socket, screws in there, 1/4-inch head, I should say. Don't want to call it a 1/4-inch screw because that's not what it is. It's a 1/4-inch socket that takes them out. 1, 2, 3, 4. Generally, the housing don't get damaged. Just careful pulling it apart in any case. I think these are the same on both sides, so it shouldn't matter, but just to be on the safe side, I'd keep them in there just the way they come out. And this little feller has to go back on there. Cannot lose that. That has to go back into the gearbox. that is what absorbs the pressure from the screw. They built a little ball bearing into the end of this. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, you can. There's a little ball bearing that built in the end of it, and it rides on this pressure plate that has to go back in. Don't lose this. Don't forget about it. You're going to ask for trouble. Your spacing on the gears won't be right, so it won't work anyway. But anyway, if it was to work, it wouldn't work very long, and you're going to do all this for nothing. Didn't think about this a while ago, but we don't need an air tool. We can use a drill. Takes a little longer, but that's actually done already. Should come off. Try to dump your chips. Same thing on this one. Got a bunch of the teeth missing, so here we have it. We'll punch that rivet out of there. Okay, and I have to check here, completely collapsed. Yes, I have to make sure that I don't tell you something wrong. So on the bracket, completely collapsed, we are in this area right in here, meaning that any bolt that we use here, we should be good to go. I was just checking that, so in case that threaded rod would have came past here, we'd have had to do some modifications to the bolt head, but obviously we won't have to do that. Makes it that much easier. So on to the next part. So I sit here contemplating whether to go ahead and do this video after all or not, because something just happened. While I've done this before, I just had something that popped in my head a while ago. I happen to recall, and let me go ahead and grab this. And this really seriously just popped in my head. So anyway, when I held this up a while ago, you know, I thought, well, compared to the other one, this is longer. I thought, well, it sits in the housing a little bit deeper. But then I got to realizing that actually they're a different length as well. I thought they looked a little bit long, and sure enough, the actual body on it is different. So that was a mistake on my part, and I'm adult enough to own up to it, and I'm still going to make this video because I still think there's some valuable things here that somebody can take away from it. I broke everything down the other way. You know, I could have changed out the lower frame. I don't want to mess with the seat. I'm not going in that direction, because now I'm not saying that it is going to be easy for everybody, but for me, it's really not a big deal to do this. All I did is took the rod out itself. Took the rod that holds it in place. I mean, they're riveted, you know, on the end, they're swelled. You just take it, pre-drill it, drill it. Same on the other side, pop the thing out, pull out, put your the other housings back on that same rod. The diameter is the same, everything is the same, like as far as location and all that good stuff. It's just the housing itself is different from this one right here. And like I told you guys earlier, this just slides around on here. I mean, it's not like you got to do any kind of major modifications here or anything like that. They're the same. They are identical in length. The only thing different is you have a metal bushing in these here that takes up the space on that gear. And no, they are not the same. I have popped them out and tried to do it that way. They'll have too much free play in them. So that part don't work. So it took the better part of 10 minutes to drill these ends here right quick and pop this rod out. So to me, that's still not a holdup. I don't know, you guys at home, if you want to go through that same thing, I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to continue on. I decided to fess up and tell you what's going on and continue on with the video. Not a big deal. We're going to slide the other, call it a gearbox, slide the other gearboxes on there and continue on with the video. You know, this is not a lengthy repair. It don't take no time to do this. Stuck that rod back in there, lined her up good as I could get it. Now keep some water handy or something like that. Make sure nothing catching on fire. Go the other side, do the same thing. Make sure she's lined up. Right, hard to get a little bit anyway. Put a little dot of weld on that thing. Bam, done. I guess we don't need to have it running. Get you all moved around. Whoops. Put that first spacer on. Shove the motor back against it. We still got to get the other ones in. One of them will face toward the top. The other one will face toward that back side right there. The spacers are going to be one here, see where this is going to end up. Guess we still got a fair amount of grease in that thing. So we don't want to overpack it, and I just made a mistake as well. But that's okay. No harm, no foul. It takes a second to take us apart. Don't lose your insides, whatever you do. I got to come in from the top, my bad. Well, we got plenty grease in here. That's slick. I think I'm going to flip this seat around, might make it a little bit easier to do this. Cannot remember what's what. So that little gearbox is working. I'll take a nut, chisel, whatever you got. That's called make your own lock nuts. Yes, I tighten it up and then loosen it back up. Just a quarter turn. Quarter turn, all we want. There's one. Okay guys, so we put in the gearbox, we verified the workings, make sure it works. Unfortunately, in the very beginning, I missed the part where the metal worm gears are going to be requiring a different housing, but it's done now. We have to clip the other piece of plastic in there. Just notice that goes in here, and I don't think the top gets one, or maybe it does. Yeah, I was wrong. The top gets one as well. So everything is back together the way it was from the factory. This one here, if you've seen it, I thought the same thing, but it is correct. That actually does sit at an angle like that. I've noticed it the first time I've ever done one of them. I noticed that, and I've seen it there, and I thought, well, it's kind of odd, but that's actually the way they come from the factory. So if you ever take one apart, you'll notice that same thing. You don't have to worry about that. But anyway, we verified it. Make sure it's working. It is working. Turned into a little bit longer video. Sorry. Once again, sorry about the long video. This is going to be the last video for the year. Hopefully you got many more to come next year. But anyway, you got comments, questions, you know where to leave them. Going on New Year's, so Happy New Year to everybody. And thank you for watching. Okay guys, I figured what the heck. The proof is supposed to be in the pudding, so let's go ahead and keep you a little while longer. And we'll throw the seed in here. Just to show you that it really does not take that long to do this job. Okay. There we go. Get this out of the way. I didn't unhook that, by the way. As I said, studs are in the front. In other words, the nuts go in the front. I think I said that. If not, well, they go in the front. Bolts go in the back. And I did already put Loctite on the studs, on the bolts. Already done. So don't get a panic attack. As I said, an E14. Right there in the back is an E14. The front is the 18. Okay, we got to get a trim piece for the back. That's the trim piece for the back, I think, as we will find out here in just a second. Okay, it's back on. Pop the electrical connector back in, push the lock down, get the switch, or get the switch if you remember what you did with it. Ah, there it is. Okay, plug it back in. Clip it back into where it goes. If you can get it to clip in. Tilt. Down on the back. Down in the front. Almost did forget, there's another trim piece that I took off earlier that I originally did not take off. Clips in down here. And there's also, how far that seat goes back. Yeah, I know. I gotta put that plastic back in, I know. Don't complain just yet. There's also a little bitty screw that didn't put in anyway. Pop that back in. Yeah. Aha, there went this. Now the back side, do it the same way. Get it to clip in there, and there it goes. Clipped in. Make sure my wires are going where they need to go. So here we are on that. Okay guys, any further ado now, I'm really going to cut her off. Proof is in the pudding, seat works, job is done.